Travel has changed me forever. Not just from the cool photos I can upload or the amazing food I eat. It's the journey that changes you. It strengthens you. And it helps you get in touch with your most inner self. Now, let me get some things out of the way. I'm not a wanderlust hashtag sort of person, and I don't put world traveler in my Instagram bio. I find that those influencers have pre-planned everything. They upload manicured videos with perfect hair, makeup, and bodies, and they just hang out in and around the resorts, and they stay locked up in their fancy places. But true travel, the ability to really physically, mentally, and culturally bridge the gap, isn't fun, and it's not easy. I've learned something from a lot of the places. Like, for example, in Alaska, I learned that crazy is a little relative. I could never live there fighting polar bears, getting snowed in, keeping your garbage safe from eagles. But a lot of Alaskans would argue that they couldn't live in a polluted, busy city stacked on top of each other. And Alaska is the most beautiful state I've ever been to. It's like a postcard everywhere. In France, I learned to stand my ground against the constant political conversations and the assumptive rhetoric that I was constantly under attack from. Italy is the most beautiful country I've ever been to. I don't care. And I learned that as long as you try to speak the language, you like to eat, laugh, drink, and smile, you can make friends anywhere. However, it was Tunisia that really taught me a lesson. The first time I went to Tunisia was a part of a two-part trip. 1 week was in Paris, and the second week would be in Tunisia. Towards the end of that first week, though, I found out through a Facebook message that my father had passed away. And it really messed me up for a while, but next thing I knew, we were flying to Tunisia, which is very different. The day we landed, we went to meet up with a friend, and the driver drove us in circles. We asked to go in French to Le Golf Restaurant, and he brought us to a golf course with a restaurant. I learned quickly that in Tunisia, everyone's always trying to make a buck. Customer service is definitely not even on the same level as Paris. And the cab drivers don't know where anything is. The next day, I was really feeling heavy, just emotionally. I was lethargic. I just was confused with all these emotions. I was really trying to work through everything. My boyfriend left that morning to a conference 30 minutes into the capital, into town, and he sent me some words of encouragement through text, and I decided after staring at the ceiling all morning for hours, I would get up, do some push-ups. No, I didn't. But I hopped in the shower, and I went out. It was an interesting experience by myself. I blended in with the locals, so I wasn't hassled as much by the vendors outside the hotel, which was great. However, I did have to culturally adjust. I went down the hill to find a cab, and the first cab I hailed, like a true New Yorker, passed me by 10 feet. I hesitated. I didn't know if he was stopping for me. I just wasn't used to that. And he drove off. So I told myself, you're going to have to focus and be like the people to get in there. The next cab, I chased after a little. I got in, and I asked the guy to bring me to the French consulate, which, of course, he didn't know where it was. You know, they've only colonized your country for 200 years. He didn't know where the French embassy was. I was in the back seat. I tried to show him on my phone the map, and he acted like it was the most difficult thing in the world. So I told him, kef, stop. He stopped the cab, and I asked him in French, est-ce que vous voulez que je me mette devant? And he said, yes, come to the front seat. The last time a cab driver asked me to jump in the front seat, he was looking for something. So I was a little wary, but it was the way the people are. I caught up with him. I learned some Arabic. Definitely didn't forget the word for dog. There were dogs roaming everywhere. Kelpi. Shajara is tree. There was this huge monument. It was like a ball on top of. It was just a strange monument. And I asked him what that was for, and he explained to me that a few years ago, the former dictator spent all of their tax money on it as a celebration of the Tunisian people. And so I felt bad. I understood that everyone was going through economic strife and they just survived a dictator. When I arrived at the consulate and met up with Todd, there was supposed to be a guide for me. And it turned out he didn't come, but I didn't want to be a burden, so I went into the souk, the market, by myself. And everyone was trying to rip me off. By the end of my journey, I was just so vulnerable and I was hurt and angry. It was just too much to take people constantly coming at you, watching your pockets, and trying to not get lost. And I felt even worse than that morning. And I was done with this trip. A few days later, my boyfriend and I were taking a cab to the airport. Well, we're both men, and we both uh, used put our suitcases in and out of the trunk ourselves. And when we were going to pay about 10 dinar, like $2, the cab driver asked for two more dinar for our suitcases. And I was just so angry. I had it. I had it with people in this country taking advantage of me. I was just so emotionally raw. I couldn't take it. And my boyfriend, who was a deep voice, simply said, "Just give it to him. It's $1. He probably needs it more than you do." And he was right. In that moment, I recognized my privilege as an American that can hop through borders as if there weren't any, as a young person that's able to travel. We met so many people on our trips uh, who I absentmindedly tell, "You should definitely come to New York, come check out New York." And their response many times has been, "Oh, I'll save up and one day I'll come to America." I'm so fortunate to be in my situation that I just had to totally get myself together and realize that everyone around me has their own life, their own pain, their own struggles too. And I learned a few things from Tunisia. So, on top of everyone has struggles, you should always be yourself, and that vulnerability is a strength and not a weakness. And don't ever apologize for your true, sincere emotions. Also, it's okay to have a culture shock and culture classes as long as you approach those situations with some nuance. Now, does that mean I'm going to excuse rude and unacceptable scamming behavior? No. But I learned to understand where people are coming from and to grow from uncomfortable and tense situations. Because a mentor of mine used to say, if you're not if you're comfortable, then you're not learning. Thank you.